Hey guys, Prangle Gaming here, welcome back to Talk to All. This is the 33rd installment, and before we get right into your responses, any questions you may have had, if you haven't seen any of the other 32 installments, then why not go check them out. There's going to be a link in the description of this video for the last Talk to All, or you could access the playlist by clicking the I button. But as always, if you have any questions or opinions, do feel free to put them in the comments section of this video, because I want a Millwall voice throughout. And while you're down there, don't forget to put your score predictions for the two games that Millwall are playing, which is against Port Vale, and then on Saturday the game that we have against the Premier League champions Leicester City. You might as well add your opinions on what you felt went right and wrong in those matches as well. Now do bear in mind I record this on a Monday, so if anything has become outdated or if any new news stories have appeared, then I'll cover them next week in the next Talk to Wall. Let's take a look at your predictions for the game that Millwall played this week against rival Southend United. And someone actually got this right. That person was Alfie Ross. He said the Lions would win 1-0. This prediction being correct is actually quite special, or at least I think it is, because he said, I'm off to Millwall versus Southend. Now, and from what I've gathered, I believe that Alfie doesn't go to too many Millwall games, so I might be slightly wrong there, but if so, well done for going to a game and you also getting the prediction right. It's what we like to see. The next closest was Joe Conway, who said that the score would end up being 0-0. And to be fair, I thought this one would actually be the way the game would go. It made more sense that the game would have ended 0-0, but obviously it didn't, and well, it really doesn't matter. 3 points is better than getting the 1 point. Dylan Gaming also technically was 1 goal off, though, as he said that Millwall would lose 1-0 to the Shrimpers. He said that this is negative, but it seems that Southend are on a good run as well. They beat Scunthorpe, who are top of the league. And to be fair, I was very nervous going into this game, as they are one of the better teams that we've played in our recent run, though. And, well, in my opinion, I don't think Southend's squad is as good as what their position says they are, but I just think that Phil Brown is working wonders and he's doing well with the team. Another person that thought Southend would beat us is Liam Gaming too. He said that they would win 2-1 with Simon Cox and Marc-Antoine Fortuné scoring for them, with Steve Morrison grabbing the goal for us. Which was wrong, but I doubt many of you would have thought that Fred would have scored a header. Millwall fan 8085 then said that Millwall would win the game 2-1 with Morrison and Ferguson both getting the goals for Millwall. Mustafa Nur was a little bit closer with his prediction. He said that Millwall would win 2-0. And the final person to say that Millwall would win was Konzi P Football, as he said Millwall would win 3-1. And to be honest, I would have loved that scoreline because I didn't really like the game that much. The final person to predict was Samuel HD, who said that the game would end 2 apiece, with both sides sharing a point. I like to ask a question each week to learn more about your views on a certain topic, and last week I asked who has been the best signing so far over the 2 windows for Millwall, and well, 2 of you responded. So what I'll do is I'll say your favourite new signings, and then I'll talk about mine a little bit after, once I go in with the statistical side of things. So we'll start with Samuel HD, who said Jake Cooper, because in 3 games he's put in 2 man of the match performances. And then Dylan Gaming's views were slightly different, as he said he couldn't decide whether it would be Jake Cooper or Jed Wallace. And he said this: I think either the Jedi, which if you didn't know that's what Jed Wallace is called, or Jake Cooper, as they're both solid players, but Wallace will have to fight for that space and Cooper has the brains and guts and is already very solid. So thank you both for that. Let's have a look at the stats for the new signings. Now, this is the goals, assists, cards and fouls, so you have an understanding of all the areas. Now, these stats come from Millwall's official website, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with loan signing Jake Cooper first. The centre-back has played 5 games for us, 4 in the league and 1 in the cup, and during those games, Cooper has conceded 4 fouls, but has never been booked, which is great news for a defender. Jake has also got 1 goal to his name after he obviously scored against Coventry very recently. Winger David Worrall has played 31 times, 23 times in the league and 8 in the cup. During that time, Worrall has given away 10 fouls, but like Cooper, has never been booked for Millwall. David has also scored 2 goals, 1 in the league against MK Dons and then 1 against Wycombe Wanderers in the Checkatrade Trophy. Worrall's also got 5 assists this current season. What about the new signing and fans' favourite Jed Wallace? He's featured 5 times for Millwall and like Jake has played 4 in the league and 1 in the cup. but Jed has committed 3 fouls and has got a yellow card to his name. And if you didn't know already, Jed hasn't scored or assisted, which really does look quite disappointing for him. But obviously, he will get there, and hopefully he'll start performing in a Millwall shirt. I mean, his performances haven't been that bad, it's just statistically, it doesn't look the best. Next is Greg Wild, who, before joining Northampton Town on loan, played 10 times for us and didn't do anything whatsoever, hence him actually going out on loan in the first place. Harry Smith is the next player, and to be fair, he is one that has the best, statistically speaking, of all the players. Considering where he's come from and what he's done for Millwall, is a pretty good achievement. Now, Harry's played 8 times, 5 in the league and 3 have come in the cup. During those appearances, Smith has committed 8 fouls and got 3 yellow cards, because if you've seen his challenges, he's very clumsy with them and he needs to learn how to sort himself out. A big player can't be throwing himself about on the pitch as he does, but the scoring stats do speak for themselves, with him scoring 6 goals, though only 1 was in the league against Bristol Rovers, and Smith does also have 1 assist, which, if I can remember rightly, was also in the Bristol Rovers game as well. The final player is Sean Hutchinson, and obviously the injury-prone centre-back has played 11 times for Millwall and he's currently out injured as well, which is a shame because he's a good defender when he's fit, and we've seen that in the games he's played. 8 of those 11 appearances were in the league, with the other 3 coming in the cup. Hutch has committed 9 fouls and has also got a yellow card, which was when he played up against Scunthorpe in that 3-0 loss, which was actually the last time that Millwall lost a game so far. Fingers crossed we don't lose tonight. Hutch hasn't scored or assisted this season either. So who is my favourite signing? Well, I'm going to have to go with Harry Smith. Now, obviously, I've always said I'm a Harry Smith fanboy, but Jake Cooper is extremely close. I mean, they're almost touching distance with how close these two are to being the best. And the reason I'm picking Smith is because he's young and he's only ever played professionally for Millwall. So what he's done with us is great. And, well, I'd like to see him come back into the team with Gregory and Morrison maybe needing a break every now and then. Hopefully he can come in. But obviously, we do have Aiden and Fred on the wings, so I'd like to see them stay on the wings and maybe give Smith an opportunity up front. I know it's a little bit too much to ask for, but let's just go with him. Let's just see, because he's a tall player. Yes, he's not the best with his head, but we just have to harness his ability, his height, and see where that takes us. My question that I'll be asking you this week is, who is Millwall's best attacking player? So that can be the wingers, left and right. Now that does include left and right midfield, because I know the wingers slightly count as that, but yeah, you know, kind of not. And also the strikers, that's a given, they're attacking players anyway. And what I'll do is I'll do exactly what I did with the statistics, breaking it down and also talking about your key players. And I'll give you my favourite attacking player next week. And I'll also reveal something about one of the players I don't like so much in attack, which may come as a little bit of a shock to you guys. On to your comments, and we'll start with Alfie Ross, who said, I only wanted Lincoln because that's where I was born, being a Lion all my life though. Moo. And that was obviously in response to last week's Talk the Wall, when I talked about him wanting Millwall to go up against Lincoln City. Now, Lincoln City did get Burnley at Turf Moor, and Burnley are obviously a side that have just got a point against Chelsea at home, so that will be an incredibly hard game for Lincoln City. And I really do like Burnley, but we'll see how it goes. The next person to comment was Millwall fan 1885, and he said, do you think we need to sign Cooper permanently? And to this one, I don't think we actually do need to sign Cooper. Don't get me wrong, he is a brilliant defender and probably one of the best I've seen in a Millwall shirt for quite a while now, but to be honest, it isn't a scenario that we just need him, because Hutch isn't a bad defender when he's fit. Yes, that's a very big point there. When he's fit, that's a problem. And Brian Webster is okay, not to mention we do have other defenders in the ranks at the club. We have Christian Malubu, who hasn't played at all for Millwall ever. We also have Paul Rooney, who I'm liking the look of. I think he's going to be a pretty good player moving forward. And not to forget Sid Nelson, who is working wonders at Newport County. They might stay up because of his work that he's doing out there over in Wales. The final person to leave their comments was Liam Gaming 2. And as always with Liam, there is a large number of comments. So what I'm going to do is I'll break them down one by one and we will talk about them as we go along. The first is, do you think we need a new striker? And to this, I don't think that we do. If you look at the attackers we have now, which, just to name them, we've got Gregory, Morrison, Pavey, Philpott, Smith, Fred and O'Brien, then you can kind of see we have enough strikers. Now, maybe you mean, do we need an experienced one? Yes, maybe. But you think about it, they're all young, and with the ability of Morrison and Gregory being the experienced heads, I think if they learn off of our two key strikers, then the future of the club looks great. I mean, Harry Smith already looks pretty good, and he's only just signed this season. I don't think we need any new strikers. I think as long as Morrison keeps scoring goals despite his age, it don't matter. Keep him at the club. He's very good for the youngsters. The second question was two that I've kind of mixed together, and that was, do you think Wallace and Cooper will sign permanently? And this question is hard because Jed said he wants to stay with us as long as we go up, but there is a strong possibility he could still stay with us if we stay in League One. And Cooper's been fairly quiet on the topic. So with Jed, he isn't actually performing so well at the moment. If you look at stats in terms of goals and assists, which are the things you kind of look for in an attacking player moving forward. So obviously, Jed will want to be performing, and if he doesn't perform well in a Millwall shirt, then you just don't know whether he will sign for us or not, just because it's just not working at the moment. I mean, he's been a brilliant player moving forward. He's just not actually been able to get that assist, get that goal yet, and Jed's never really been able to score goals for Millwall, so we're not going to hold him to that anyway. And I do think that Jed Wallace is a lot more likely to sign than Jake Cooper is, as Jake may sign, but it's a lot harder to say on him because Reading may want him back if they see how well he's doing for us. Then again, they have got Tyler Blackett and Thiago Ilori, I believe, so they've got defenders there that can do the job, so they may not need him back. So it's a possibility. Both are possibilities, definitely. Liam also said, great video, well done mate, so thank you for that. And his last question was, do you think Harris will leave if we go up? And well, before I say anything, Dylan Gaming said something that's actually worth listening to, and he said, wouldn't he like to stay with us because he went up with us? He would probably like to help out for a while. And to be honest, that sort of sums up my opinion. I doubt Harris would jump ship as it is, because the team is his team and he'll be relishing the challenge to go ahead and see how we do in the Championship. I mean, he wasn't a bad manager when we got relegated, when he was there for a temporary basis. Liam then ended with 3 song pieces. They were, Meh, no one likes us, no one likes us, we don't care, we are Millwall, Super Millwall, we are Millwall from the den. And then finally, there's only one Ben Thompson, one Ben Thompson. Moving on to this week's Loan Watch, and we'll start with Alfie Pavey. And this week he played 70 minutes in Hampton Richmond Borough FC's game against Margate, though he didn't score or assist in that game. And while we're still in non-league football, I might as well say that Kyron Mundle-Smith didn't play this weekend, as Three Bridges FC's match against Gary Alexander's Greenwich Borough FC's game was postponed due to weather issues. Moving up the leagues, we come to Braintree Town, where Chris Twydock and Kyron Farrell both started when Braintree took on North Ferriby United, though they were both subbed off by the 65th minute, as Farrell was last off the pitch in the 65th minute, 5 minutes after Chris had been subbed off. In League 2, David Ford kept a clean sheet for the first time in 3 weeks after Portsmouth actually beat Accrington Stanley 2-0. Sid Nelson's Newport County side are still a while off staying in the league, but they picked up a huge point against Doncaster Rovers, who are top of League 2 when they drew 0-0. The last player out on loan is Greg Wild, and he came on in the 84th minute, but by then the game was already at the score it would end as Northampton Town beat Chesterfield 3-1. Millwall had one game this week, and that game was against Southend United. You should have seen my vlog, you should have seen my analysis video, so you should kind of know what happened in this game, but just sort of quickly get a breakdown of what happened. We won 1-0 thanks to a goal from Fred, and in the first half, Simon Cox and Steve Morrison managed to curl the ball over the bar. Morrison missed an open goal, Atkinson got sent off for Southend, and well, in the first half, Tim Lim managed to squander a huge chance to to give Southend the lead. Now, in the second half, there wasn't so much action, and this half wasn't really the best. And I mean, just talking of first real chances, Tony Craig almost put the ball in his own net. That was a real first talking point, but that was then followed by Fred's header that gave Mill the lead. The ball came in from a Sean Cummins cross, and Fred leapt higher than Jason Demetriou to give the Lions the lead. Now, on to the player of the match, and if you see my analysis video, you'll see the player that I picked was Sean Cummins, as the defender was pretty calm and he assisted Fred's goal. And this decision was really hard to pick because I personally felt Millwall weren't great in that game, and the only reason I gave it to Cummins was because he assisted the goal and he didn't do too bad at the back. He was clearing everything when he needed to do so. I've decided I'll be adding a section to the podcast, and this is where we look at the relegation and promotion candidates for the leagues that will affect our current league, which at the moment is League One. And I think I will be calling this ups and downs. So we'll start with the bottom three in the Championship. So that is 22nd to 24th. We'll start with Rotherham United, who are 24th in the Championship, and they look destined to go down. They need 14 points to catch up with the side outside the drop zone, as they only have 17 points this season. A terrible number for Rotherham, and they've only picked up 4 points out of a possible 18 in their last 6 matches. That is dreadful for them. They're going to need to pick up their form if they don't want to be playing in League One next season. 23rd are Wigan Athletic, where it seems Will Grigg isn't on fire, as he's only scored 5 league goals this season. Wigan have picked up 7 points in the last 6 games, and though they do have a game in hand to try and get closer to getting out of the drop zone, they currently have 26 points, and well, if they do win the game they have in hand, they're equal the points with the team that are currently top of the relegation zone, but there'll still be a few points off of the 31 points they need to get out of, or at least get equal to the team just above the drop zone. 22nd are Blackburn Rovers. The once Premier League champions are really struggling with Owen Coyle as their manager, and they have serious money troubles. The club, who have registered just 8 points in their past 6 games, could get above Burton Albion, who are currently 21st though, if they beat Sheffield Wednesday tonight. Wednesday are on a 3-game unbeaten run though, so it isn't as easy as it seems. From relegation woes to promotion highs, let's take a look at the teams at the top of League 2, who are currently in the automatic promotion spaces. And first in League 2 is Doncaster Rovers, who are being helped by the form of former Lion John Marquis. He scored 18 in the league, and the Donny have picked up 14 points in their past 6 matches, and in fact they're unbeaten in their last 10, and it looks likely they're going to go up, being 14 points above the playoff spaces, and they are in some incredible form. Definitely the clear favourites to be going up at the moment. Second are Plymouth Argyle, who missed out on the playoffs on going up after AFC Wimbledon beat them, but that doesn't seem to matter for them at the moment, as Derek Adams' side are in 60 points so far, 3 off of Doncaster, and they do have a game in hand to catch them up if they choose to capitalise on that chance. They picked up 12 points in their past 6 games and also took Liverpool to an FA Cup replay when the two sides met. Third are Keith Curle's Carlisle side, who are set to face Doncaster Rovers tonight. Either way, Carlisle are 3 points above Luton, and they are just about staying in those promotion spaces. And, well, they're a side that are nowhere near showing the form that they showed at the beginning of the season, when they went a whole 21 games unbeaten this season. That was an amazing stat to see. I mean, that's a long time. Mill will still have a while to go if they want to get there. And in their past 6 games, they've struggled picking up 6 points, which actually is 1 less point than the team at the bottom, Newport County, which is quite an embarrassing stat for Carlisle United fans, I would imagine. Before we get into the Millwall news, I want to ask you another question. What would be your starting 11 for Millwall now that you've had half a season or a little bit more to see who fits into the current squad? Now let's move on to the final section of the podcast, and that is the Millwall news. This week I have 5 stories, ranging from Harris talking about Millwall's unbeaten run to Harris saying he will rest Gregory and Morrison this month. The first story comes from Millwall manager Neil Harris, who says he's extremely happy for his side that they've now gone 11 games unbeaten. He added that they've combated Southend really well, as they are a really strong physical side. And he said this win is very helpful, as momentum will really help the Lions in their bid for playoff football. He said their confidence is high in the squad and everyone wants to get a game, as they all want to be part of the squad that's leading on this run. The second story is that Harry Smith has finally made his return to football after suffering a dead leg against QPR in January, as Smith featured in Justin Skinner's elite development squad that took on Bristol City, and they beat them 1-0, though Harry Smith didn't get the goal in that game. Neil Harris is the next person to be involved in the story, as he stressed his hope for Fred Onyema to stay with the Lions. Neil said the squad that he's put together allows Fred and other young players in the squad to grow with the squad and become a real team at Millwall. Neil also added he does understand that some players need to leave, but hopes Fred can sign like many of his other Millwall younger players that have become key in the squad on a long-term deal. Marlon Romeo has announced he will not be giving up his fight to beat Sean Cummins to the right back spot. Romeo said he's learnt a lot from not being in the team. He's also learnt a lot from Cummins himself. He's also gained a lot more energy as he's not playing game after game. And he said that he understands that momentum has helped Millwall, and that's the reason why he isn't in the team at the moment. The final story comes from Neil Harris, as he said he could rest Lee Gregory and Steve Morrison sometime this month, as they need to be fresh and Millwall have lots of attacking options. A few examples are Aidan O'Brien and Fred Onyema, as both can play as strikers. So with this story, if you didn't know, Lee Gregory didn't feature against Southend, and it could mean that Morrison may miss the game against Port Vale tonight, so that Gregory and Morrison have both had a little break going into the game against Leicester City, which obviously has been described as one of the most important games of Millwall's season. So that is all we got time for today. Do feel free to put your questions and opinions in the comment section for the next Talk the Wall. However, before I go, don't forget to put your score predictions for the Port Vale game, which is tonight, and the FA Cup game against Leicester City in the comments section, as next week I'll be covering the game and highlighting the good and bad points. And while you're down there, don't forget to tell me your opinions on the match and Millwall as a whole. So like, comment, subscribe, and of course I will see you guys next week for the next Talk the Wall. But until then, goodbye.